There's always going to be the need to have a library media center material selection policy. Again, I think our policy is pretty strong, but it was missing, in my opinion, two key components. The first is that our challenge procedure, for lack of a better way to describe that, was school-specific. Right? And I think it really needs, if we're going to review a book or review something in our library media center, it should be a district-wide approach, right? And the second piece, I think, very importantly, is that our policy, the way it was written and enacted and administered, it was mostly it was an internal procedure. There has to be, in my opinion, an appeal, either an appeal process that ends up at school committee, or just a public review altogether.
I disagree with you respectfully about like that the policy is good. Okay. I think there's room to make some changes. A few areas I would recommend around the composition of the committee.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, first of all, it's too small. 5, the way it played out through the records, you have a simple majority, and you only have one teacher on there, and a parent, a media specialist, a curriculum director, and principal. I would recommend that it be a larger committee composed of at least 2 teachers and at least 2 media specialists or librarians at a minimum.
I also hadn't thought of this before Dr. Anatucci mentioned this, but I think having that informal process and then a more public review process, because I was afraid that having seen this whole thing go out that, no one is ever going to object about a book again, ever, because it's going to kind of have folks afraid of like, oh, I'm going to end up in the paper. I want to bring this up, but I can't. So I like the idea of an informal process.
I think on the committee, it would be so great to have a student voice at the high school level. I mean, I don't know that you want to do that because our kids are very bright, they're very articulate, and they're very opinionated. And I think that it really is their library, and if a book is removed, they would be the ones that would be affected.
I don't think it's clear in a challenge situation, what the standard is. There's a standard that the media specialist has for determining what goes in to the library in the first place, and also a standard for when to take things out. But it isn't clear to me that the committee that was put together, or the committee that will be put together under the new standards, what the standard they're supposed to apply is.
When you're talking about books that, in this case, was controversial for one reason, it was, it brought up topics of race relation potentially, or what I expect to be more challenges in the future with gender and sexuality topics. I think those are values topics that parents should be responsible for teaching, and if they want those materials available to their children, those are still available in public libraries, in your Barnes and Nobles, in your Amazons, and they're still widely accessible. And those are not beneficial to the educational goals of North Attleboro Public Schools and objectives of the curriculum.
Just having these books on the shelves, and as someone said earlier, just having this entire collection on the shelves would be super important because some students aren't able to go out and buy these books.